Dealerships across America are drowning in inventory they simply cannot move. Here's the thing that'll blow your mind. Some of these cars are sitting for over a year. Yeah, you heard that right. Over a year. So how do we measure this disaster? There's this metric called market day supply. Think of it like this. If dealerships stopped getting new cars today, how many days would it take to sell everything they currently have? A healthy number? That's around 60 days. But anything over 100? That's a red flag. And wait until you see some of these numbers. We're talking 200, 300, even over 500 days. Let me walk you through the 12 models that dealers are begging people to buy. And trust me, some of these are going to surprise you. 12. Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport. Coming in at number 12, we've got the Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport with 176 days of supply. Now here's what's funny about this one. Volkswagen already makes the Atlas a perfectly good 3-row SUV that families actually want. So what did they do? They took that same Atlas, chopped off the third row, gave it a sloped roofline, and called it the Cross Sport. Sounds cool, right? Wrong. Because here's the problem. If you want a 2-row SUV, you're probably buying it for the cargo space and practicality. But that sloped roof, it eats into your cargo room. So you get less space than the regular Atlas, fewer seats than the regular Atlas, but you're paying almost the same price. And it gets worse. The infotainment system in these things is driving people absolutely nuts. We're talking laggy responses, glitchy touchscreens, and controls that should be physical buttons but aren't. So buyers are looking at this and thinking, why wouldn't I just get the regular Atlas? And that's exactly what they're doing, and you should too. 11. Audi A6. At number 11, we've got the Audi A6 with 177 days of supply. Now this one hurts because the A6 is actually a beautiful car. We're talking premium materials, sophisticated styling, that Audi quality everyone knows about. This is a seriously nice sedan. But here's the brutal truth. Nobody wants sedans anymore. And when they do want a sedan, they're not necessarily choosing Audi. See, the A6 sits in this weird price bracket where it's expensive enough that people start cross-shopping it with BMW 5 Series and Mercedes E-Class. And in that comparison, Audi doesn't always win. BMW's got the driving dynamics, Mercedes has the prestige badge, and suddenly the Audi is left out. But here's the real kicker. At A6 prices, most buyers are saying, you know what? For that money, I'd rather get an SUV. They're walking right past the A6 and buying a Q5 or Q7 instead. 10. Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. Number 10 brings us the Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross at 178 days of supply. Oh boy, where do we even start with this one? First off, let's talk about that engine. It's underpowered, plain and simple. In 2026, with all the technology we have, there's no excuse for an underpowered crossover. Then there's the fuel economy. For a small crossover in 2026, you'd expect decent gas mileage, right? Nope, this thing guzzles fuel and buyers are noticing. But wait, it gets better. The safety systems, you know, those driver assistance features every car has now, they're unreliable. We're talking false alerts, systems shutting off randomly, lane keeping that can't seem to keep the lane, and here's the nail in the coffin. Mitsubishi's dealer network is shrinking fast. Good luck finding a dealer within reasonable driving distance in many parts of the country. And even if you do find one, do you really want to buy a car from a brand that might not be around much longer? Buyers are taking one look at the Eclipse Cross, comparing it to literally any other compact crossover, and running in the opposite direction. The Honda CR-V, Toyota RAV4, Mazda CX-5, they all destroy the Eclipse Cross in every category. 9. Kia Sorento. At number 9, here comes the Kia Sorento with 178 days of supply. But here's where it gets really interesting. They've got over 35,000 units sitting unsold. Now, Kia's been on fire lately with models like the Telluride and the Sportage. People love them. They're reliable, good-looking, feature-packed. Kia went from being the budget brand to being a legitimate competitor to Honda and Toyota. So what's wrong with the Sorento? Well, it's getting beaten by its own siblings. Why buy a Sorento when the Telluride exists? The Telluride's bigger, looks better, has more prestige. Or if you want smaller, the Sportage is cheaper and more efficient. Better fuel economy, lower price, easier to park. Plus, owners are reporting issues, performance problems, reliability concerns, things you don't expect from Kia anymore. They built their reputation on dependability, and when a Kia starts having problems, buyers notice. The whole reason people started buying Kias was because they were reliable and affordable. Take away the reliable part and what's left? With 35,000 units gathering dust, Kia seriously needs to rethink their production strategy here. 8. Jeep Gladiator. Coming in at number 8 is the Jeep Gladiator with 181 days of supply. Remember when this thing launched? Everyone went crazy. Finally, a Wrangler with a truck bed. It was going to change everything, except it didn't. Here's the problem. The Gladiator isn't great at being a truck, and it's not as good at being an off-roader as a regular Wrangler. The bed is smaller than most mid-size trucks. You can't haul full sheets of plywood flat. The payload capacity? Not impressive. You want a tow? A regular truck does it better. The Gladiator's towing capacity is decent, but a Colorado, Canyon, Tacoma, or Ranger all match or beat it while being better trucks overall. You want to hit the trails? The Wrangler is more capable because it's shorter and more maneuverable. That longer wheelbase on the Gladiator? It's a disadvantage on tight trails. The breakover angle suffers. You're scraping on obstacles that a Wrangler would clear easily. And let's talk about price. These cars are expensive, like really expensive. You're paying premium money for a vehicle that compromises on everything. You could get a Colorado or a Tacoma for less and have a better truck, or you could get a Wrangler and have a better off-roader. 7. GMC Sierra EV. At number 7, we've got the GMC Sierra EV with 184 days of supply. Now, electric trucks are supposed to be the future, right? Strong, quiet, instant torque. The specs look amazing on paper. Sounds great on paper, but here's reality. People are scared. And I don't mean scared of electric vehicles in general. I mean scared of this specific truck. The software glitches are legendary. We're talking trucks that won't charge properly, range estimates that are wildly inaccurate, screens that freeze at the worst possible times. This is a work truck for many buyers, and they can't afford downtime because the computer decided to have a bad day. If you're a contractor and your truck won't start because of a software glitch, you're losing money, real money. And here's something dealers don't want you to know. Most of their technicians aren't trained to work on these yet. So when something goes wrong, and something always goes wrong, you're waiting weeks for someone who actually knows how to fix it. Plus, the charging infrastructure still isn't where it needs to be, especially for people using these as work trucks. You can't exactly take a 2-hour charging break when you've got jobs to finish. And if you're towing anything heavy, forget about it. Your range gets cut in half. GMC is learning the hard way that being first to market doesn't always mean winning the market. 6. Audi A3. Number 6 gives us the Audi A3 at 189 days of supply. This one's simple but painful. Audi priced themselves out of their own market. The A3 was supposed to be the entry-level Audi, the car that gets young professionals into the brand, the stepping stone to bigger, more expensive Audis later in life, but they kept raising the price. Now the A3 costs so much that it's no longer an entry-level luxury car. It's competing with the A4, Audi's own bigger, nicer sedan. So buyers are thinking, if I'm paying this much anyway, why not just get the A4? The A4 is bigger, nicer, has more features, and feels more substantial. For a few thousand more, it's a no-brainer. Meanwhile, the people who would have bought an A3 at its original price point, they're looking at a Mazda 3 Turbo or a Honda Civic C and getting 90% of the experience for thousands less, or they're buying a used A3 or A4 instead of a new A3. 5. Hyundai Ioniq 5. At number 5, here's the Hyundai Ioniq 5 with 190 days of supply. This one's tragic because the Ioniq 5 is actually a cool car. Retro styling that looks like nothing else on the road, fast charging, and a spacious interior. So why won't it sell? First, despite massive price cuts, it's still too expensive for most buyers. Hyundai's dropping thousands off the MSRP and people are still walking away. They're offering incentives, rebates, special financing. Nothing's working. Because here's the real problem. The ICCU. The Integrated Charging Control Unit. This thing has been an absolute nightmare. We're talking complete system failures, cars that won't charge, vehicles stranded on the side of the road. Owners are reporting that their car just dies without warning. One day it works fine, the next day it's a $50,000 paperweight sitting in their driveway. Hyundai's issued recalls, but the damage to their reputation is done. People see Ioniq 5 and think unreliable. And in the EV market, reliability is everything. You're already asking buyers to change their entire refueling routine, to trust the charging network, to believe in the technology. 4. Chrysler Pacifica. Coming in at number 4 is the Chrysler Pacifica with 194 days of supply. Now, minivans are a tough sell to begin with. Nobody wakes up excited to buy a minivan, but the Pacifica had a good run there for a while. It was the cool minivan, the one with the features families actually wanted. Stow-and-go seating, built-in vacuum, entertainment system that actually kept the kids quiet on long trips. So what happened? Reliability went off a cliff, that's what happened. The transmission is a disaster. Owners report shuddering, slipping, complete failures at relatively low mileage. We're talking transmissions giving out at 40,000, 50,000 miles. That's terrifying when you're hauling your kids around. The engine's got issues too. Stalling, rough idling, problems that shouldn't exist in a modern vehicle, engines making weird noises, throwing warning lights, leaving people stranded, and those power sliding doors that seem so convenient, they're breaking constantly. Doors that won't open, won't close, or get stuck halfway. Some owners report spending thousands on door repairs on a relatively new vehicle. Here's the thing about minivan buyers. They're practical people. They're not buying on emotion. They're buying the most reliable, most sensible option for their family. They need something that works every single day without drama, without unexpected repair bills. 3. Ford Mustang. At number 3, we've got the Ford Mustang with 195 days of supply. Yes, you heard that right. The Mustang. The last V8 muscle car standing, the legend. And it's sitting on dealer lots for 195 days. Here's what killed it: price. Ford got greedy. They kept adding features, adding technology, and adding cost. And suddenly the Mustang isn't attainable anymore. Now it's priced like a luxury car. A base GT costs over $45,000. A well-equipped one, you're pushing $60,000 or more. That's Corvette territory. Young buyers who would have bought a Mustang 10 years ago, they can't afford it. They're priced out completely. They're buying used Mustangs or giving up on the muscle car dream altogether. And older buyers with money, they're not buying new Mustangs. They're buying classic ones, or they've moved on to different types of cars entirely. The Porsche Caymans, Corvettes, BMW M cars. If you've got $60,000 to spend, there are a lot of compelling options. Plus, Ford made the baffling decision to remove physical buttons for touch controls. You know what muscle car buyers want? Buttons and switches they can feel without taking their eyes off the road. They want mechanical connections. They want to row through gears with a manual transmission and adjust the climate control with a physical knob. The Mustang was supposed to be immune to market trends. 2. BMW 8 Series. Number 2 brings us the BMW 8 Series at 203 days of supply. Here's a car that costs over $100,000. At that price point, buyers expect an experience they can't get anywhere else. But the 8 Series doesn't deliver that magic. It, quote, as a beautiful car, don't get me wrong. Fast, luxurious, well-built. The interior is gorgeous, the technology is impressive, and it handles well for a big GT car. But it's not special enough. Because when someone's dropping that kind of money, they're cross-shopping with the Porsche 911. And the 911 is an icon. It's the car people dream about. The 8 Series is too expensive to be practical and not special enough to be a dream car. If you want a BMW and have $100,000, you buy an M5 or an X5M. If you want a GT car at that price, you buy a 911 or an LC500. Bonus entry, Jeep Compass. At number 1, wait, we're not done yet. Number 1 is coming, but first, the Jeep Compass at 203 days of supply with over 27,000 units unsold. This is a production problem, pure and simple. Stellantis is building Compasses like they're going out of style, except they're literally not going anywhere. They're sitting on lots. And here's why: the Compass costs almost the same as much better competitors. You can get a Honda CR-V, a Mazda CX-5, a Toyota RAV4 for similar money. All of them are more reliable, more refined, better to drive. The CR-V has Honda's legendary reliability. The CX-5 drives better than vehicles twice its price. The RAV4 is the default choice for people who just want a solid, dependable crossover. What does the Compass offer? The Compass offers nothing special except the Jeep badge. And that badge doesn't carry the same weight on a small crossover as it does on a Wrangler. Nobody's buying a Compass for its off-road capability or its Jeep heritage. With 27,000 units unsold, Stellantis needs to stop production immediately and figure out what they're doing wrong. This isn't a sales problem, it's a why are we building so many problem. Every single one of those 27,000 Compasses is costing them money in financing, storage, and lost opportunity. 1. Volkswagen ID.4. And finally, at number 1, the winner of cars dealers can't sell. The Volkswagen ID.4 with an absolutely staggering 527 days of market day supply. That's almost a year and a half. Let me paint you a picture of what this means for dealers. They've got these ID.4s sitting on their lot taking up space. They're paying interest on floor plan financing, basically the money they borrowed to have these cars in stock. Every single day these cars sit there, they're losing money. And here's something most people don't think about. These are electric vehicles. The batteries need to be maintained. Dealers literally have to pay someone to go out and charge these cars regularly just to keep the batteries healthy. Otherwise, they degrade sitting there. So dealers are paying interest, paying for electricity, paying for maintenance, paying for insurance, and not making a single dollar in return. The ID.4 just isn't selling, not at any price. Volkswagen's offering massive incentives, huge rebates, special lease deals, and people still aren't buying. Why? It's a combination of everything. The price is too high for what you get. The range isn't competitive with rivals. The charging speed is slower than competitors. Volkswagen's software has been problematic. We are talking laggy screens, buggy updates, systems that don't work properly. The interior feels cheap for the price. The driving dynamics are boring. The styling is forgettable. There's nothing about the ID.4 that makes you want to buy it over literally any other electric SUV. And maybe most importantly, if you want an electric SUV, there are better options. The Ioniq 5, the Mustang Mach-E, the Tesla Model Y, all of them are more appealing than the ID.4. They're more fun to drive, they charge faster, they have better technology, and they look better. Volkswagen bet big on the ID.4 being their electric breakthrough in America. Instead, it's become their biggest disaster. They thought the VW badge and decent specs would be enough. They were wrong. So, which of these cars shocked you the most? Drop a comment below and let me know which one you think is the biggest disaster. And if you want to see more content about the car market and what's really happening at dealerships, hit that subscribe button.